Hello, sports fan. This is Stephen Hill for JustMyPicks.com, and I'm back, and I'm bringing you the top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks that you should choose this football season. I'm going to start at number 10, and I'm going to go all the way to number 1. But before I finish that, I want to make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe right now, YouTube.com/JustMyPicksTV, for all the updates, for all the breaking news, all the hottest debate videos. Now, without further ado, getting right into it, football fans, we're back. 2015 season's here. Now, looking at number 10. Number 10 was a little bit higher on this list before injury to Mr. Kelvin Benjamin. And you're looking at Cam Newton, Carolina Panthers. Even though he hasn't had the supreme target like a Steve Smith in the last couple of years, you're looking at what he can do as a quarterback. He can use the legs that he's been given and the God-given speed, and he can also get the first downs, move the chains with his legs, and he also can throw a pretty good football. You're looking at Cam Newton, of course, of the Carolina Panthers, coming off of a season last year with the Carolina Panthers. Guys, this division in the NFC South is crazy. You know that Cam Newton and the Panthers, that defense with Luke Kuechly and those guys really helped this out, but Cam Newton carried the load a little bit. You know that he had a bad season as far as a car accident and having ankle surgery and all these other things. I think that Cam Newton is set to have a pretty good year this season. Even without Kevin Benjamin, I think that Cam Newton is going to be a pretty good fantasy quarterback. He would have been a lot higher, of course, if he had more targets like Kevin Benjamin, but he doesn't really right now. So he's fallen a couple of notches on this list at number 10, and I think that he's going to be the 10th rated quarterback in fantasy as far as how good he is this season. So coming in at number 9, we have the Dallas Cowboys leader, Tony Romo. You're looking at what he did last year with DeMarco Murray and how he was able to have that talented offensive line. Then you think, okay, DeMarco Murray's not there. You have McFadden. You have a lineup of running backs that I really don't believe in. So losing DeMarco Murray is going to prove to be bad for Tony Romo, because it's good because he gets to throw a little bit more, but it's bad only because you get to see more Tony Romo throwing the football. And I think that Tony Romo is a solid quarterback, you know, top 15 QB, but you have to look at it. With Dez Bryant being covered now, you have less to worry about as far as the run game. That means that Tony Romo is going to have to shoulder more responsibility. That means that game plan, I don't think that the offensive line can block for just anybody. I think DeMarco Murray was truly special to that offense and what that offense meant as far as running the football at a high rate and having probably the best running season for any Dallas Cowboy really in the history of the league. So now, when you're looking at those things, I think Tony Romo does some things well. I think that he does have an awesome relationship with Dez Bryant and Jason Witten. I know that they'll have a couple of other young receivers out there running routes and things like that. So I think that Tony Romo is still going to put up a lot of points this season in fantasy. So he's worth drafting if you're looking at Tony Romo. Now, looking at number 8. Number 8 is Tom Brady. And I had to put Brady in this top 10 category. I didn't want to put him all the way at 10 because I think that Brady is going to have a good season when he does come back from this so-called suspension. I don't even know if they're going to hold it up, but I know Jimmy is not going to play the whole season. So Tom Brady is still worth drafting, guys. You have to look at Tom Brady and what he does well. He commands that team. He won the Super Bowl last year. He played phenomenal against the Legion of Boom, even though they were hurt. He played phenomenal against Andrew Luck in the Indianapolis Colts. You look at what he did all season when he has Gronk, Julian Edelman, now not to mention Reggie Wayne being signed by the New England Patriots. He's going to have a ton of weapons to throw to, and Tom Brady is doing the same exact thing year in, year out. He can do it with no-name people, as we've seen him win a Super Bowl with. He can do it with the big names like Randy Moss and Rob Gronkowski, Wes Welker. He can win big games at big situations each and every year. So Tom Brady is continuously going to be on this list as long as he's in the NFL and as long as he's productive. Tom Brady, what can you say? The Golden Boy last year won the Super Bowl, so he has to be on this list because he's going to have the New England Patriots when he comes back off suspension looking good down through the season stretch. Now, looking at number 7, the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan. You're looking at just what he can do with a healthy wide receiver core. You're looking at Julio Jones. You're also looking at Roddy White. You're also looking at just what they can do with the tight end position and is having help for him in this offense. You know that when it comes to running the football, the Atlanta Falcons got a good core of running backs, and they're going to be running back by committee. You know that they're going to be more open as far as getting Julio the ball, and they're going to be throwing this ball all around the field in Atlanta. Carolina. You know that they have a wide open offense. They have a brand new head coach, brand new everything. They got a brand new stadium they're building right down the street from my house anyway. So Matt Ryan is a solid quarterback. He may get a bad rap because of this Falcons defense, but I'm telling you, Matt Ryan can truly ball. When you look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL and just how he's been pretty good throughout his career, I think that this is going to be his breakout season, and I think that a lot of people are going to start seeing more of number 2, Matt Ryan, throughout the year. You're going to hear him more in the MVP conversation, because I feel like this year they could possibly win the NFC South, and they have an easy schedule when I looked at it. So I didn't see anything that was too scary. I think that they are going to have a pretty good season against the Saints. They possibly could win both those games. Carolina, same thing. They possibly could win both those games. They play them tough. And I think that Tampa is going to be 2 wins for them. So I'm looking at them for them to sweep the division, even though they haven't done it lately. I think that they're set and they're primed for a run for the playoffs. And I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to have a good year. Matt Ryan at number 7. Coming in at number 6, the Denver Broncos general, former MVP, former Super Bowl champion, Peyton Manning. The guy continuously has done great things in the NFL. You're looking at just how he's breaking records. He's going to be breaking Brett Favre's records this year. He's probably going to smash the record books open with some ridiculous record that we haven't heard of again. And you're looking at how good he is. Even hearing all the reports about how in his right hand he doesn't have feeling in his fingertips, but yet he is still throwing the ball and finding all these guys. You look at Demaryius Thomas and what he means to this offense coming back. I know that he lost his tight end Thomas, but to free agency to Jacksonville, but I'm looking at them to bounce back and play better than ever. I think that having just some of the things like C.J. Anderson, having him run the football, possibly Monty Ball run the football, that's going to create such a good thing in his Gary Kubiak offense. And it's going to give Peyton Manning a lot more time to do the play action. He's going to be able to go deep more. He's going to be able to bomb that ball deep into the end zone now. And I think that with all the weapons that Denver has, you look at Emmanuel Sanders with the speed, you look at just what they have as a total unit, they can really ball. They can score points easily, and you're looking at the division that they're in. Oakland is not ready to make a prime playoff push. You're looking at San Diego, they're always tough, but then you look at Kansas City, how they cannot score points. So I think that Peyton Manning is going to have a pretty good year against his division. And I think that they are capable of making a Super Bowl run this year. I think that they have everything that they need as far as just getting the point production and everybody healthy. The offensive line is the big question, though. With Peyton Manning being as old as he is, he doesn't have Clady to protect him. And it's like one of those things where they just don't get everything right. But that defense is going to help Peyton Manning in so many different ways. So I'm excited about that. So that's number 6. Now, when you're looking at number 5, we have Mr. Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger in this happy-ass Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to scare a lot of people. You look at how they have Antonio Brown. You look at Le'Veon Bell. You look at what they can do. And today it was announced that one of their receivers was getting suspended for 4 games for substance abuse. That doesn't even matter. I think that Ben Roethlisberger with this offense is going to be able to do a lot of things and change the face of the Steelers' outlook. You look at how they're known as a running football team, and they're really just defense. This offense is going to open up, and you're going to see a lot more of what they do well. Big Ben has been known as a game manager in the last couple of years. Todd Haley and Big Ben are known for getting into it in the past. I know that that's really out the window now. You look at Mike Tomlin getting rid of a lot of things. He's gotten rid of defensive coordinator. He's gotten rid of some of the guys that we've traditionally known as Steelers, like Troy Polamalu, Hines Ward. Over the years, they've been sweeping, and getting everybody out that's kind of old and dusting and putting Mike Tomlin's fingerprints on this team. And now it's time for Todd Haley to really put the keys in the Corvette and let this thing drive. I think Big Ben is going to scare a lot of people this year. He's going to be the MVP conversation. He's possibly going to pass for 5,000 yards. I know that the Pouncey twin, Marquise, is not going to be healthy for the first couple of weeks, but I think that the offensive line is young enough. They've blended enough. They have solid backups at certain positions that they can hold down the line and protect Big Ben enough for him to have an outstanding season. So I'm looking at Big Ben at number 5 and saying that's pretty solid for Big Ben. So coming in at number 4, Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. This guy gets so many chain moving first downs with his legs. He has Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. He now has Jimmy Graham. You're looking at what he can do on the outside with Kershaw and those boys. I think that the Seattle Seahawks underestimated how good Russell Wilson was going to be. I even did. So when you're looking at Russell Wilson, how he's able to do the small things, the things that don't show up on SportsCenter, the things that don't show up at practice, but they show up in preparation when he's studying, when he goes out there and he makes big plays, when he goes out there and he makes the first down late in the fourth quarter, and he moves the change, making the Seahawks be able to stay on the field, that offense, and eat up more clock when they have a defense like the Legion of Boom that is so very helpful. He's intelligent. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. In that Super Bowl, he did make a mistake throwing an interception, but we're not going to go there. But Russell Wilson is poised to have a great season. He's looking like an MVP candidate when he does the kind of things that he does. I know that people call him a game manager, but that's just the type of team that they have. They're a run-potent team. They're trying to open up and throw the ball more. But I think that Russell is going to get a lot more first downs on the ground this year because you do have a Jimmy Graham, because you have more deep threats with the Seattle Seahawks. So you're going to have to figure out, if you're a defense, are you going to try to stop Jimmy Graham now? Are you going to try to stop Marshawn Lynch? Are you going to try to stop Curse? No, you're going to have to stop Russell Wilson. And when you think you have Russell Wilson for the sack, he does those little spin moves and those little jerks to get out of stuff. So that's another exciting part of his game. Now, I think that the Seahawks are really owning the division, especially with the 49ers imploding. And the Cardinals are looking pretty good, and the Rams are looking pretty good, but I don't think they're doing good enough offseason moves to overtake the Seattle Seahawks in this NFC West division. Now, to get to number 3, we have Mr. Drew Brees. Drew Brees has had an off couple of years throughout the years. He hasn't really been in the playoffs, and you're looking at, yeah, he can throw for 5,000 yards, but his teams are not really scoring as efficient as they used to. They're not really that on-field threat to drop 40 at any point in time. I think this year that'll change. I think that Sean Payton is back and he's refreshed and he's got a new game plan. I think that they're trying to protect Drew Brees more. I think that they're going to be using the passing game a lot more this year. I know that having Mark Ingram healthy is a good thing for the New Orleans Saints, and that's good to have him back, but I think that Drew Brees is going to try to throw for 5,000 more yards this season. I think that where he is right now in his career, he has to get back to the playoffs. I know that he's just stat stuffing right now. That's all good and dandy, but you want to win those big games. It seems like Drew Brees just can't win certain big games against big teams, but I think that if he gets a couple of wins on the road and they start to pile up the points, I think that you're going to see Drew Brees get quickly into that MVP conversation. I think that he can challenge a single season record for the most yards and break it easily. I think that this offense has enough weapons on it to go off. I think that with 8 games in the Superdome, you're going to be able to do some damage at home and possibly just have about 2 losses at home and about 2 losses on the road. That defense is a liability, but the offense is willing to carry it. Getting rid of Jimmy Graham and getting Max Unger, I don't know what kind of move that's going to be yet, but I know that Drew Brees before Jimmy Graham was still dope. I know that he can still do the things that he was doing before Jimmy Graham, even after. So Drew Brees comes to number 3, and now to number 2, Mr. Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is walking machine. You look at what he does well and how he emulates Peyton Manning and how he does everything well and consistently. Each year, he's getting better and better. They're going farther and farther. The next step this year is the Super Bowl. A lot of people are predicting the Colts to get to the Super Bowl because not only did he get to the AFC Championship game, but he's continuously improving. He's making his teammates better. Him and T.Y. Hilton are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. You look at them getting rid of Reggie Wayne. That could have been a good thing because Reggie Wayne is no longer healthy. Looking as far as he gets injured a lot more. He's a lot older. You look at him having Johnson from the Texans, and they're going to be balling out. Having Frank Gore, the truth. You know that Frank Gore is going to help him. You can no longer just pile up and pass rush at Andrew Luck. You have to respect the run game. You have to respect Andre Johnson on the outside. T.Y. Hilton is the power threat that he can go deep on any play that he wants to. So the Colts, They got that toughness with Frank Gore. They got that toughness with Andre Johnson. And you look at just how Chuck Pagano is going to lead that defense and shore up some of those mistakes. They have a lot of holes on defense, but I think that offense can carry them. Andrew Luck is a top 2 quarterback. You're looking at him as being the second, if not the first best quarterback. So I think that Andrew Luck is going to take leaps and bounds, and I think that he becomes an elite quarterback this season, not only with the way he carries himself, but his poise in the pocket, his yards that he throws for it. He needs to keep the interceptions down. And I think that if he does that, he'll be able to help this team possibly get to the Super Bowl. That's the next step after what he's been doing. Now, the number 1 quarterback in the NFL this season for fantasy, we're looking at Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Mr. Throw it while I'm sipping coffee. Mr. Discount double check. Mr. Do whatever he wants. Aaron Rodgers can seemingly do everything he needs to do. He can make all the throws. He can make all the plays. He's poised to have a great season. I know Jordy Nelson went down with a knee injury, but you have to keep in mind, you have Eddie Lacy, who is a top 10 fantasy running back. You have Cobb, which is possibly a top 10 wide receiver pick. You have a lot of weapons on this offense that can go off on any time. You have a lot of rookies on this team that can possibly help this offense as far as in the run game and in the pass game. Aaron Rodgers is deadly because he can get everybody involved, even if you're not a big name. If you're not a Jordy Nelson or a former Jermichael Finley or Donald Driver, you don't have to be a big name for him to get you the ball. I think that he's going to get a lot of these guys the ball and help them do what they have to do and score points very quickly. You know the Bears are coming. You know the Vikings are coming. You know the Lions are coming. They don't want to see the Packers on top for long. So they hate him. They don't want him to do it. So I think that Aaron Rodgers has an advantage because he has a pretty good team on offense. He has Clay Matthews on defense. He has Julius Peppers on defense. So they're going to be after the quarterback more on defense, and that's going to affect Aaron Rodgers being able to be on the field more because I think he'll have more possessions this season than he's ever had because I feel that Don Capers' defense is going to be better. And I think that now you're looking at just how talented they really can be. So I think the Green Bay Packers have the best quarterback in the NFL with Aaron Rodgers, both in NFL and in fantasy real life. So what do you guys think of my top 10 list? Did you not have your quarterback in there? Did you want somebody else in the top 10? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, we're going to get back to you as soon as possible. And thank you for choosing to check out Just My Picks TV. Next week, we're going to be having a running back phase for the fantasy top 10 running back. So check it out. Also, share this video on your Facebook so you can debate with us each and every week so we can break down all the hottest action, all the NFL games, and all the hottest debate in sports. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll see you next week.